Good afternoon. Excuse me. I'm Rod Guthrie, and I'm the director of the Anatomical Gift Program here at Wright State University. And I want to thank you all for attending today's service, memorial service. Today we will honor and remember your loved ones for their unselfish gifts. And due to their generosity, the medical students, the nursing students, physicians, and medical researchers, and many others have had the opportunity to learn about the structure and function of the human body. I understand that for some of you, it may have been difficult to accept or understand why your loved one wanted to donate their remains to Wright State. But my hope is that after today, you will see how the gift of your loved one's remains have had such a positive impact on the lives of so many different people. Anatomy is the study of the structure and function of the human body, for which is the foundation of medicine. Hundreds of students have studied anatomy and someday will use this knowledge to take care of thousands of patients. Please know this would not be possible without your loved ones. Your loved ones have taught these students way more than any textbook, plastic model, or computer program ever could. 5 of these students are with us today, and they will share how the donors of the Anatomical Gift Program have impacted their lives. Our first speaker today is Brianna Burlock. Brianna is a native Georgian and is here representing the second-year medical students. As a dual degree MD and MPH candidate, Brianna plans to graduate in 2020 after the completion of both of her degrees. Also, although she is currently unsure of which specific area of interest she is interested in, Brianna will make a positive impact on all aspects of patient care. Brianna?
Thank you, Rod, for that introduction. Good afternoon to all of you that came to join us in the celebration of your loved ones. Today, Friends and Family is a special day in which we honor those that gave themselves for the learning and growth of the physicians of the future. This gift can never fully be repaid, but we strive to make sure the offering doesn't go unnoticed and that it is used for the purpose with which it was given: education and the development of scientific knowledge. When asked to do this opportunity, a variety of emotions rushed over me. I was surprised, nervous, anxious, and ultimately humbled. I reflected over my experience at last year's memorial service, and I remember the overwhelming respect I had for the families that came with all of their emotions to pay a final homage to their loved ones. I was baffled by how sweet many of the guests were as they politely said comments like, "Thank you so much for the flower," and "You look beautiful today." I mentally questioned how they could focus on what I was wearing as they were ushered towards their loved ones' remains. I watched in solitude and peaceful respect as the families marched in droves to Rockefeller Cemetery. After my reflection, I realized that these families were absolutely remarkable, and that sheds even more light on just how remarkable their loved one was. And I am sure that you all and your loved ones that you represent are remarkable as well. In fact, absolutely amazing. Let me further explain. A, for adoring. There is such a high reverence for such a person who is willing to give such a gift for the achievement of others. M, for marvelous. Your loved ones are simply extraordinary. A, for affecting. Such an act is moving and reminds me the impact someone could have on another life even through death. Z, for zealous. Your loved ones showed passion about medicine and understood what donating leads to: advancement in medicine and the concrete learning for physicians. I, for incredible. At times, when I think about the inhumane things that people do to each other, I remember the unbelievable sacrifices that people such as your loved ones make. N, for noteworthy. Those who have given such away deserve to be recognized for their significant selflessness. And G, for giving. Your loved ones presented their gift voluntarily and without expecting compensation. So now I hope you understand what I mean by amazing. An author by the name of David Thomas once said, "Unselfish and noble acts are the most radiant pages in the biography of souls." This quote contains the quintessence of why we appreciate and honor those who have given to this program. The impact they make on the lives they have left behind is truly astounding, and their gift will be remembered through time. Ultimately, your loved ones taught my classmates and me the essence of patient care. We showed respect to their bodies as we learned from them. We protected them after a day's lesson. We thanked them for giving themselves for us and our future. Today, I hope that this day of remembrance and honor will allow you to reflect on the lives they led and the impacts that they have made throughout their life and death. Thank you.
Our second speaker today is Stephanie Fields. Stephanie came to Wright State after completing her bachelor's degree at Furman University in Greenville, South Carolina. She is here representing the Masters of Anatomy students and will graduate in December. She is currently a teaching assistant for the medical school Human Structures course and is finishing up her thesis research on risk factors of ACL injuries in female athletes. She plans to pursue a career in the anatomical education. Stephanie?
Thank you, Rod. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for being here today to celebrate and honor the lives of your loved ones. As a Master of Anatomy student, I have spent countless hours in the anatomy lab, both as a student and as a teaching assistant. So I'm very thankful for this opportunity to express my gratitude to the donors and also to you, the families and friends. Body donation is a very selfless and difficult decision. Thank you for supporting your loved one's generous decision to donate their body to the Anatomical Gift Program. On behalf of myself and hundreds of anatomy and medical students, I can assure you that their gift was truly appreciated and instrumental in our education. Although best known for his painting of the Mona Lisa, Leonardo da Vinci devoted much of his life to the study of human anatomy. He filled books with sketches and notes of his observations of the human body. He was the first person to depict the correct curvatures of the spine. He evaluated the biomechanics of muscle. He discovered that the heart was responsible for pumping blood to the rest of the body. His pages were full of exclamations of amazement. Beside a figure of the heart, he wrote, "A marvelous instrument invented by the Supreme Master." Da Vinci studied human anatomy not only to understand structure and function, but also to better understand disease and emotions. His observations of human anatomy were far ahead of their time, and his unquenchable curiosity to understand the human body still inspires anatomists, physicians, and researchers today who strive to expand our understanding of modern medicine. Like Leonardo da Vinci, I too have always been fascinated by the complexity of the human body. I often equate learning human anatomy to memorizing a very detailed map. Arteries turn and split like rivers, nerves branch and connect like the highways between cities. Medial, lateral, dorsal, ventral, all anatomical terms that we learn on the first day of anatomy. To me, these are no different than north, south, east, and west. There are so many beautiful and breathtaking things in this world, and to me, the human body is among the most awe-inspiring. After graduating with my bachelor's degree, I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to travel over 10,000 miles around the United States, visiting many national parks and cities along the way. Yellowstone National Park was one of my favorite and most memorable parts of the trip. Before our visit, I had seen maps and pictures of Yellowstone's many majestic features. I had even watched documentaries on Old Faithful and the geothermal features the park had to offer. But nothing can compare to the grandeur and pure beauty of seeing it in person. I believe the same can be said for the human body. Textbooks, pictures, models, and even 3D video images are all wonderful learning tools. But to truly understand how the human body is put together in all of its many intricacies, Nothing compares to the hands-on learning experience of working with human donors. In the anatomy lab, we are given a certificate for each donor with their name, where they were from, and a brief medical history. I have made it a habit to Google each of the donors' names to learn more about them. For some donors, I just find a brief obituary with a few sentences about them and their families. For others, I have found entire web pages describing their lives in detail. This information does not make my job in the lab any easier, but it helps me to appreciate who the donors were and what wonderful lives they lived. These people gave so much. They gave to their communities, they gave to their churches, they contributed to local politics, they volunteered in underserved communities, they were devoted to their families. Even after death, these people continue to give generously. They give hundreds of students knowledge. They give us inspiration. They give us the tools and skills we need to be successful and compassionate in our future careers. Most importantly, they give us great appreciation for how beautifully and intricately and uniquely made we all are. Every donor to the Anatomical Gift Program has made a difference in the lives of countless students. In my personal experience, the donors have taught me more about human anatomy than any lecture or book that I have read. They have amplified my love for anatomy and medicine and inspired me to pursue a career in anatomical education. Most importantly, they have inspired me to be a more compassionate and giving individual. I want to share my enthusiasm for anatomy with future students. I want to use my knowledge and skills to help others in any way that I can. Someday, I want to donate my own body so that a new generation of anatomy students can have the same invaluable learning experience that I have had through the Anatomical Gift Program. To the donors, thank you for everything that you have given me. You have made such a difference with your generous gift. To the families and friends, thank you for your love and support. Your loved ones were truly wonderful, generous people. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Munjin Wilhelm. He is a Wright State, he came to Wright State in 2013 as a biomechanical engineer major. He is consecrated behavioral neuroscience researcher, and he plans to graduate in 2017. He wants to attend the Boonshoft School of Medicine and become a trauma physician. Munjin?
Thank you, Rod. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me today. I was so excited when I was asked to speak at the ceremony, until I have to sit down and write a speak. All what I can think of is how can I let these family and friends know and their much and their friend and the loved ones, how they impact our life and careers in such a positive way. This memorial service is our way of honoring and saying thank you to these individuals and their friends and families for giving us opportunity to further our knowledge of a human body in such a new way. They have provided us with real life, hands-on experience that more than any textbook has to offer. In my mind, it takes a very brave and selfless individual to donate their body to a stranger. And it goes without saying that we really respect and honor their decision to do so. For generations, taking a human anatomy has been a stepping stone and rite of passage for medical students. And the integral part of becoming a physician would be a loss without the opportunity for these people have to sacrifice and become a physician, be a loss without the opportunity they have to be so generously given us. We should take a pride in knowing what they believe in what we accomplish to make this community and this commitment for future medicine. Their desire to educate the next generation of physicians is something we should hold near and dear to our hearts and something we should try to incorporate into our next physicians and next practice. I would like everyone to remember that these were truly our first patient and have touched our lives and the life of every patient we will see through our careers. Their impact they have made began to shape us into the physicians that we all strive to be. It's humbling to know that they have found a way to give a life in their passing time to so many different times. I would like to close by saying that we are eternally grateful for their gift and sacrifice. The memory of them will stay with us, and it will be passed to our patient through the healing and comfort that we can provide for these because their sacrifice and the opportunity they have given us. We really cannot say thank you enough for the uniquely enriching experience that they have bestowed upon us, and we are in debt for these generous teachers. Thank you.
Our next speaker today is Andrew Wexler. He earned his bachelor's degree at the University of Arizona in physiology and master's degree in anatomy here at Wright State University. And he's currently an M1 interested in emergency medicine. Andrew?
Good afternoon. I'm so thankful to be here today speaking to you. When I was first asked to talk, I was honored and humbled, but I was also excited and anxious. I was nervous because I wanted to be able to express my gratitude for the selflessness of your loved ones. I'm sure that my peers and my classmates would all agree how important it is for us to share that gratitude with you all today. Your loved ones have blessed us with such an incredible gift. For me, there's nothing more important than my own body. It's everything that I am in this world, and at the end of the day, it's the only thing that truly belongs to me. The fact that your loved ones donated themselves to the Anatomical Gift Program shows how passionate they were about their education and training of our future healthcare professionals. It's an experience that I'll carry with me, not only for my career as a physician, but for the rest of my life. I can stand here confidently and say that I would not have gotten into medical school without my experience here. It gave me a second chance to live my dream. The Anatomical Gift Program was such a large part of my second chance, and for that, I'll always be grateful. As a physiology major at the University of Arizona, I took my fair share of anatomy and physiology classes. However, I learned on plastic models and pictures, and they only ever taught us just enough anatomy so that we could understand the underlying physiology, and we never learned more than one section of the body at a time. It had been my dream to go to medical school, but when I graduated, I knew I had to do something to make me stand out from other applicants. So I applied to master's programs, and I decided to come to Wright State to join the anatomy master's program. I think what sets Wright State apart from other schools is the anatomical gift. So many other schools have switched over to computer and 3D model-based anatomy instruction, and I know firsthand that there's no substitute for the real thing. Textbook pictures and models do not account for the natural variability between each person. Every single person here is put together a little bit differently, and that's truly something incredible. I'd like to talk a little bit about how the anatomical gift program has personally affected my life. When I got here, I found myself astonished at how much I learned and how much I grew from my work in the anatomy lab. The donors are so meaningful to us because they teach us more than just the intricacies of anatomy. There are many silent lessons we learn from them. In medical school, they're our first patients. They're the first people to guide us and set us on the path towards helping others. It has been said that every doctor, over the course of their career, will care for over 100,000 patients. There are 115 people in my class, so each donor will directly contribute to the well-being of over 10 million people with their act of generosity. They teach us about professionalism and respect. They quietly watch us and help us work through the foundation and the most basic aspect of medicine, the human body. They show us how to act with grace by continuing to give, even after they have passed. And most importantly, your loved ones teach us a trait that every physician needs to take care of their patients. They teach us how to give all of ourselves to something that we are passionate about. Thank you.
Our next speaker, Emily Dillard, came to Wright State, locally here from Clayton, Ohio. She earned her bachelor's and master's of science in biomechanical engineering from Wright State University. Emily is here today to represent graduate students conducting research in the fields of engineering, biomechanical, and neuroscience. Emily is currently pursuing her PhD in biomechanical engineering under Dr. Jason Parker and she plans to graduate in 2019. Emily's research specializes in the brain and central nervous system tumors. Emily?
Move this up a little bit. In October of 1912, the front page of the New York Times read in big, bold letters that 200 New York physicians publicly pledged to donate their bodies after death in an effort to remove stigma associated with dissection. The article later went on to state that through anatomical gifts, true physiological and pathological conditions, and the ignorance of quacks thus exposed, the public would be more safeguarded against incompetent and criminal practitioners. More than 100 years later, I could not agree with them more. There was a time when anatomical dissection was possible only when either the donor or the recipient had committed a crime. In our times, the same act is viewed as being honorable, as it should. Without the anatomical gifts from your loved ones and thousands like them, disease could not be cured and cutting-edge research could not be conducted. As Rod introduced, I am a biomedical engineer. Biomedical engineering is the application of engineering principles and design concepts to medicine and biology for healthcare purposes. My research focus, as he stated, is on brain and central nervous system tumors and could not be made possible without anatomical gifts. Today, I am honored to share with you how my undergraduate experience with anatomical gifts set my education apart from my peers, how my graduate experience with anatomical gifts has given me a unique perspective to research, and how the future of the medical field is made possible through anatomical gifts. Without the anatomical gift of your loved ones and thousands like them, disease could not be cured and cutting-edge research could not be conducted. I was first exposed to this concept during my undergraduate experience here at Wright State. Quickly, I learned that I was set apart from my peers at other institutions because of our program. I remember my first day of anatomy lab. Surprisingly, it was a cool August morning. I was excited and I was nervous to start the new semester. I knew it was a cadaver lab, but I didn't know exactly what to expect. Honestly, I remembered the smell when I first entered the room. And I remember crying in my car as I left the lab, thinking about the incredible gift that these strangers had given me and my peers. The spark of innovation soon followed that first day in anatomy lab. While in my anatomy lab, I was thinking about much more than just the structure and function of the body. My mind was quickly attracted to the incredible variation between donors. I was in awe of the complexity and uniqueness found within the body. Soon, I was wondering how such small variations could make such a big impact, because it's not the way that it always looks in the textbook. From my experience with the Anatomical Gift Program, I was then motivated to become involved in undergraduate research. I became a part of an undergraduate team here at Wright State that was charged to create a system that would accurately detect forces within the body during procedures such as a colonoscopy. The goal of our system was to detect forces to help prevent perforation or tears during procedures. During this experience, I quickly learned there was no substitute for the real thing. Models and simulated tissues was not adequate. My team and I were successful in designing a system to complete our objective. We created the first benchtop prototype that is now being further developed, but it would not have been possible without anatomical gifts. Based on my experience during undergraduate education, I decided to pursue a graduate studies, recently completing my master's degree and starting my PhD in engineering. My graduate experience with anatomical gifts has given me a unique perspective to my research. As was stated earlier, my research is focused on non-invasively detecting, diagnosing, and staging gliomas, or brain tumors. And this is all done through magnetic resonance imaging, commonly MRI. The cause of many gliomas is unknown, and gliomas are often difficult to accurately stage and diagnose. Treatment of gliomas adds another level of difficulty, as resection, chemotherapy, and radiation are less effective in gliomas compared to other forms of cancers or tumors. Unfortunately, life expectancy after diagnosis for a glioma, such as glioblastoma, a very advanced form, ranges from 14 months to 2 years. MRI has been a revolutionary leap forward for non-invasive detection of abnormalities in the body. However, there are issues that need to be addressed. There are many different types of MRI scans that unfortunately are not being used in clinical settings because they're difficult to understand and difficult to program. Cutting-edge research is being conducted now to simplify and integrate multiple scans for physicians and clinicians. My research involves the development of a system that presents a physician with a map detailing their patient's tumor so they can make a more informed decision about treatment options. My research integrates multiple MRI modalities along with genetic and histologic findings from donors' anatomical gifts. The data is then integrated and is made public for other glioma researchers. My research and the resultant innovations could not be made possible without the gift of our donors. Based on my experience with graduate biomedical research, I know without a doubt that the future of clinical care and biomedical innovation is only made possible through anatomical gifts. Because of donors like your loved ones, we now have a more educated clinical and research workforce. Because of the hands-on education made possible through anatomical gifts, we have clinicians that understand the complexity and variation between patients. We have clinicians with the firsthand understanding that the textbook example is not always the case. Sometimes it takes more science and problem solving than expected. We have researchers who are devoting their lives to solving biomedical problems in disease and treatment. Because of donors like your loved ones, we now know more about many types of diseases. We now know more than ever about how the peripheral nerves degenerate in Parkinson's disease. We now know about how there is a neurochemical profile for dementia that could help detect the disease early. We now know the presence of plaque in Parkinson's disease, dementia, predicts Alzheimer's disease. These discoveries would never have been made possible without anatomical gifts. Never. I believe in a future that is within my lifetime that the diseases we know today are part of the past, where there is a cure for Alzheimer's disease, dementia, and depression, where debilitating diseases like Parkinson's disease, MS, and ALS cease to exist, and especially where cancer is treatable and curable without the toxic, painful, and demanding side effects of chemo or radiation. When I was preparing for this memorial service, like my peers, I was excited to share how your loved ones impacted my life and the research that I conduct. But I was also worried. I knew I would be able to share things that were easy to put into words, like about my undergraduate experience or my graduate studies. I knew that I would be able to share what the clinical impact was of anatomical gifts for the future. I knew I would be able to tell you that Without anatomical gifts from your loved ones and thousands like them, disease could not be treated and cured. But I was worried. I was worried I would not be able to adequately show you the gratitude and thanks that I have for your loved ones who chose to give the greatest gift. They chose to donate. There are no words that can truly reflect the way your loved ones have touched the lives of my peers and I. I hope my words today have given you a glimpse into the enormous impact and benefit that results from their generous and noble decision. Thank you to you and your loved ones for the incredible gift they have given not just me, but society as a whole by being a donor. Thank you.
Thanks, Emily. At the conclusion of today's program, all guests are invited to attend a reception in the Endeavor Room, which is directly through the doors to your right. Guests are also encouraged to visit the Rockfield Cemetery, and at the cemetery you'll have the opportunity to view the final resting place for many of the donors to the Anatomical Gift Program. If you wish to visit the cemetery, you may proceed to the front of the Student Union. It's the main door that most of you came in, and we will have transportation there to take you to the cemetery. And you can go to the cemetery either before or after you go to the reception. Anyone needing assistance, we do have medical students here that can help assist in boarding. And if you do not wish to go to the cemetery, please do go to the reception. And Wright State students will also be available to answer any questions and talk about their experiences. So today we have shared how your loved ones have impacted our knowledge and structure and function of the human body, our current and future careers, and our lives. Your loved ones' donations have had and will continue to have a positive impact on the lives of thousands and thousands of people. Once again, I want to thank you for attending today's service, and at this time we'll conclude the program with a moment of silence in honor of your loved ones. Thank you.